I don't know how I did that. And welcome back to the Survivor PA recap review. It is me, Coach Drew, as always, joined by Julia, who is bumped to the bottom today because we are joined by season 4 cast member and not Boot, Jabbar. Jabbar, when you reached out to me, I texted Julia. I'm like, oh shit, like this is going to be his Boot episode, and I'm glad, jumping the gun a little bit, I am glad to see that you were able to survive 2 tribals this episode. But thank you for joining us. Have you enjoyed the season so far from your point of view as a viewer?
Yeah, it was traumatic the first time I did it, and it's rehashing some of that trauma. But no, it's been a pleasurable viewing experience so far.
You're getting a fair edit. I do want to bring up something a little later that you do that I don't know why it made me laugh so hard, but we'll get there later. Julie, how are we doing?
Great. Happy to be here as always. Happy to have a special guest with us. Jabbar, you know what they say, these things can be therapeutic when you talk it through. So hoping we can do that for you today.
I'm more than happy to get started.
So we basically start like Tribe comes back from tribal, but we really the everything kind of starts jumping off at the duel, where it is mentioned, I think 3 times during the episode, that this is Kayla's 3rd duel that she has done. And for this one, it is Kayla versus Lydia, and it's a challenge that I feel like most people would be very willing to do. Joy, what did you think about this to start off the episode?
um, I thought it was fine. Me personally, I think when we got the tree mail, there was something about untying or something that alluded to like knots. And so insider,
Yeah.
not so insider. I completely blew the first challenge for Lewiki because I was horrible at the knots. So I was getting triggered at the thought of untying anything. I instantly knew, no, thank you. No. So like, I mean, numbers for sure. I do that in my everyday life, but I wouldn't have even gotten to the numbers because it would have taken forever to.
So I guess that is a question because I like you hear stories about the actual show where they loosen them a little bit so people. How tight were these? How tight were they? So that, okay, all right, there we go. Uh, that's all I need to
If
see.
they were loosened, I didn't get the memo.
So we get a Lydia win. We get a Lydia win, and she sends J-Mac to the altar. And it's the first of 2 altar trips that we get this episode. I would say in any other episode, this would have been super juicy, but because of what happens with the second altar, I feel like this one kind of got buried, which is crazy because like a lot of people gained and lost votes in the situation, but like by the time we get to the second half of the episode, I feel like now it's Kira doesn't have a vote. Julian, what did you think about JMAC's choice here, and what did you think about some of the ways that they distributed and didn't distribute certain things?
Yeah, I think the choices they ultimately ended up making were pretty good. You picked obviously someone from the other tribe, hoping going into a swap, even out some voting numbers. And then the justification for giving the extra vote to Lydia, I think made perfect sense. Give it to someone you trust while still kind of hiding that strong alliance. I'm very glad Lydia ended up winning that challenge, and it was someone on Old Lewiki who got the chance to go and get that, because if it hadn't, and we had someone from Capo, I felt like we'd be singing a bit of a different tune numbers wise going into swap. So glad it served as a little bit of an equalizer.
And because this is everyone's starting to bring up swap here. So in your head, Jabbar, did you feel like, okay, if they don't do it now, then we're probably not going to swap? Or did everyone kind of say, no, it's going to happen tonight, it's going to happen? Had you guys given up on the idea, or?
So we hadn't given up. I don't know. I felt like, I don't know. We're live gamers, we're orgers also. Like 14 just makes sense. So until we're at like the final 14 tribal council, we're still under the impression that there's probably going to be a swap here.
Yeah, and because of the time jump. By the time we get to the immunity, we think it's going to be the immunity challenge. Was that thought still in y'all's head? Like, hey, it's late. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how late it was at that point. I just know it was dark. Had you guys finally said, okay, maybe we're not, because we're now going to a challenge. It's dark. We know we have to vote someone out tonight. How's this going to work?
So no, I think we still assumed that it was going to be a swap, but I think we, if I'm not mistaken, I think we thought that they were probably going to squeeze a 4 round in. So we were just hoping that if we swap, like it will work out the way that it did, where we have time to mingle, because now the sun has gone down. So like,
and we get a memory challenge. As the second memory challenge I've had to cover this week, Stranded's episode, they also did a memory challenge. And y'all had to do it in pitch black. And I don't know how well the lighting in the episode is fine. I don't know what the lighting was like for y'all out there. But it must have sucked. Julie, what did you think of the challenge?
Yeah, I love a good memory challenge. I think we've had a lot of physical aspects, and this was more just mental. And poor Lewicki, even in the swap situation, can't catch a break.
What did you think of the tribe breakdown?
Yeah, the tribe breakdowns were very interesting. I'm glad that we did have those 4 threes. I felt like it served for better dynamics than if we had gotten more lopsided tribe distributions. I wish we had seen the Nukapo tribe go to tribal with the lost and gain votes over there, but I still think we got some good spice with what we were given on New Lewicki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to talk about the challenge, because Kira, once we get back, is kind of alluding to this. But like, so I can't untie no knot, honey, but I have a pretty solid memory. Like, I love memory challenges, and so a few of us on New Lewicki has said that they didn't feel the best about memory. So what I told them was, people normally read from left to right. So why don't we focus on memorizing from right to left, just 3 or 4, and we could just copy off the other tribe, because they'll probably have like 4 or 5. Granted, it didn't work, because like naturally, if you don't have a strong memory, then you don't, which is fine. But when Kira is talking at a random point in the episode, she says, "Oh, that was such a good strategy, and it helped." That's kind of what she's alluding to.
That's really smart.
That is, yeah. I mean, if only. But we do have you guys lose, and at this point, had they, because on camera they tell us, "Oh, you guys are going to strategize, and we're going to do this at the ass crack of dawn." Did you guys see that coming, or did you think, "Oh man, they're going to just throw us right into the shit tonight"?
Like I said, we were hoping, but like there was no 100% guarantee.
You were hoping that you would have to vote that night too?
Oh no, we were hoping that it would be the next day, especially after myself and the Jordans saw that we were in the minority. We were like, okay, yeah, we need time to like test the waters, integrate ourselves.
Yeah, and on the other end, I feel both tribes had their oh man, what I have it written down. Tyler says something. Oh, Tyler's bringing up Peter again. And then it comes to y'all, and y'all are also bringing up Peter. And I wrote down the legend of Peter lives on through Tyler and everybody else, because, I mean, for better or worse, Peter was a fun pre-merge, pre-swap character. A lot of the antics that he did that we saw on camera, I'm assuming there was stuff off camera. I feel like those are the types of stories that you tell to people during a swap, just to like ease the tension. Oh yeah, this crazy shit happened during this tribal. How was getting to know each other that night? Like, was it a lot of the stories about the game, or did we start talking more about everything else?
So there was a lot of pleasantries, quite frankly. Okay, so behind the scenes tea, Sam that's my good sis. Love her. We're actually friends outside of the game. So I really didn't try to talk that much to her. I knew of Kira because I knew that she's played other live games and so on and so forth. So for me, I was just like vibing, having just social connections. I really bonded a lot with Josh, quite frankly, um, and so on and so forth. So quite frankly, it was more of a social type of atmosphere for me, but like people were for sure gaming, and you could kind of see that as a four is formed on this swap tribe.
Um,
Oh my gosh.
I was just gonna let you read it.
Oh, okay, yes. I'm like horrible to sleep near. Like I'm a snorer, but like I don't know. That was a really hard night for me too. Um, and like J Mac and Sam, like J Mac, like because I sleep away from everybody because I know I'm a loud snorer and I want to be by myself. But like J Mac would like pull me in and make sure I was okay. We slept by the fire pit, so like Sam would make sure that like nobody's covers or no tarp caught on fire. So like they did a really good job taking care of
Was
me.
that your comforter from home that you were wearing? Like
It
that
surely
was a big ass
it
comforter.
surely
Big
was.
ass comforter.
And it looked
I loved it.
warm. And it
Especially you were sitting at tribal wearing it. Like,
Hmm.
oh, I want to touch on the Josh because the Josh thing really started towards the end of last episode, where it started to bring, oh yeah, like I want to be with my kid, this, that, and the other, and I thought that there was a possibility that Josh might go home last week. When did that conversation start? Not necessarily of y'all potentially getting rid of him, but him bringing that up. Did it start that night? Did it start in the morning? You know,
So for me, it started that night. So Josh didn't officially say that he wanted to leave or like that we could vote him out in those words until the next day. But like I spent a lot of time that night talking to Josh, and he was talking about how he misses his daughter and like she means the world to him and so on and so forth. Um, and then like he said something along the lines of basically it's okay if I go home. Like he didn't specifically say at that time like you can vote me out, but like the illusion is there at that point. So that night I was already getting the vibe personally that Josh his heart wasn't in staying there any longer.
Julie, what did you think about all of that? Because, like I said, we talked about it briefly last week, where it could have been Josh. Did you feel like because of the only content that we really get from him in this episode is like maybe 2-3 minutes before that tribal? Did you feel like, hey, this might be airing, or did you think, okay, yeah, this might be his actual time? And also, did you feel like it was going to go unanimous?
I didn't expect it to be unanimous, but I did think leading into tribal, it was pretty obvious Josh was going to be going. We saw it start last week, and we didn't get a ton of strategic conversation leading into tribal, besides him mentioning really that he wouldn't mind going home. It happened a couple different confessionals going into tribal, so I think they were setting us up for that, definitely. But I did not expect it to be unanimous, especially in a swap situation just happened. You hadn't had a ton of time to talk to people. Everyone's always scared. Well, what if an idol's played? What if it's a ruse? But I'm surprised everyone
And
stuck to the plan.
and that's what we thought. So more behind the scenes tea. We wake up that morning and it's pretty established that Josh is gonna leave. But myself and the Jordans, I don't know if we're getting water or whatever, but like we see the four former couple like pretty much huddled up talking. And it seems like it's an intense conversation, not from all parties, but it doesn't seem like it's just a oh goodbye, Josh. And we're like, is this too easy? Like what is really happening? Are we about to be blindsided? If Josh wants to leave, like what is all of this conversation that's still happening?
Yeah. Especially conversation still happening like this. Like if we're sitting out in the open, we're talking, it's different. If y'all are all huddled up, y'all are up to something. And if you're not, please just disperse a
Right.
little bit. Put some space there so I know I can feel comfortable knowing y'all aren't trying to pull something no one does.
Right.
Was there ever a plan to do something different then from the three of you guys in that situation?
Um, right. I don't think so, and the reason being is because so also, as Jordan mentions, he reveals to us that he has this extra vote. So in our minds, we're like expecting the worst, hoping for the best. But if we do make it out of this alive, we kind of have the numbers for the future. So let's just get through this tribal, then we can kind of go from there.
How did you feel when he told you that? Because I mean, yeah, I understand he got it in that first round, but by that point, I mean, I feel like anyone that gets something in the first round, they haven't built those connections yet. So, like, by the time he does tell you, did you feel like, oh, you're telling me now, or was it, yes, thank you so much for telling me?
I was really happy, and so the funny thing is, I had honestly, I was hoping that either Jordan or J Mac had got voted out, and I was like, okay, it's pretty easy to do. We are in a minority, but like when he told us, I was like, okay, Plan B, sell it. Let's stick with them, at least temporarily, and let's see what this kind of means. So I
Yeah,
was happy.
I briefly want to talk about something else Tyler said, where I wrote down. Of course, Tyler wanted to throw the challenge. Where there talks about that night, that first night. We can talk about the second challenge later, but that first night, did anyone try to make a motion to someone or say, hey, maybe we should think about doing this? Or
No, I don't think so. Because everything was so fresh. And I suppose, especially for like myself and J Mac, who at the time did not know that Jordan had the extra vote. So like we didn't want to do anything that would like look sus and put a bigger target on our backs.
I get that.
So like we didn't
Okay.
even like look at them.
So your comforter, and the rest of the tribe come to. I'm just like,
Yeah.
like I said, I love.
It was there. It was there.
You're the new David in his jeans for Code. He's never gonna shut up about the comforter.
That shit was so fun. What did you think about the question? Well, Julia, I'll let you take the questioning.
I texted you. I said, let me know when you finish the first tribal. It seemed a little tense for such an easy vote. And I don't know if it was just how I interpreted the situation at tribal council, but the vibe seemed a little off to me.
I mean, we were on edge because we were wondering if they were going to be honest about what they were saying. Upon reflection and now watching that episode, this is the last time that Samantha can use her idol. So I'm assuming she's probably on edge, wondering if she should play it and like get a bigger player, which I think is what she was probably alluding to in her voting confessional as well. So she's probably on edge, like, oh my gosh, we're giving up the numbers and so on and so forth. So like we all felt like we knew what was happening, but like you can never be too sure.
It seemed everyone knew what they were doing, but no one wanted to just say it. So I assume that definitely helped everyone feel a little bit more uneasy because no one just would go right out and say what was happening.
Yeah, I do think Josh would have preferred to be voted out, otherwise just quit. And I feel like Daniel was obviously, I feel like he was wanting to kind of talk about that, but I felt like we didn't want to just outwardly say, hey, Josh is quitting, like, because like he's still technically being voted out, right? Yeah. And then that begs the question of, do we even need to go vote? Like, can we just have a public thing right here? And we kind of just didn't want to do that.
Sense.
Yeah, because I didn't realize, like, I didn't notice this until Julia pointed it out. It's like, oh yeah, Daniel was pressing, like, hey, give me something. Y'all just like, we're good. Let's just go vote. Let's just get this done. And so we say goodbye to Josh. And then almost immediately we're going into our next duel. And this time it It's Barton and Kira, and the only reason I laughed is because I saw Barton's name in.
We finna get into some things.
That shit, people falling always makes me laugh. So like, but so we get Barton and Kira wins and decides for the first time in the game that she's going to be the one that goes to the altar. For you, not knowing anything else that happens after this episode, do those thoughts go into your head of, okay, maybe let's try to let me send myself. How would I be perceived? How would I perceive someone for doing that?
I probably would have sent myself, to be honest. But now let's get into some tea.
Okay.
So before we competed, please, before we competed, Kira and I cut a deal. Like, we're not going to fight over who gets to compete or anything like that. Whoever wins, if we win, let's rock, paper, scissors, and then whoever wins will go. Obviously, that doesn't happen, so we'll get into that when we talk about the challenge.
Okay. So we get to the challenge. Kira wins pretty handily. She kills it. And she sends herself off to pick. And at one point she does even say, like, oh man, I kind of wish I had sent Jabbar here. Which kind of, for me, like as an audience member, I was like, oh, why? But Kira picks death. Julia, what did you think about that?
Honestly, the situation she's in, as far as they know now, they don't know about Jordan's expert. You're in a 3-3. Looking at the tribe breakdowns, love everyone on New Luiki. They're probably going to lose the next challenge as well. I feel like you have to take that risk instead of going for something potentially that sounded a little bit less scary. I feel like you go for that risk there.
And honestly, based off of like what the advantage/disadvantage, what it ends up being is so creative.
Yes.
And I feel like it's the second or third time I've said that this season. But it was so creative the way that it's like, okay, yeah, you lose the challenge and you get an idol, or you win the challenge and you lose your vote. I don't know. That's the kind of thing that I can be all right with someone losing their vote. I hate when people lose their votes, but in that situation, it's like, okay, I get it. It is the ultimate high risk, high reward. It has been told to you, this is what this is going to be. Jabbar, based off of what you saw, would you have, I mean, hindsight and all that, where would you have gone?
I mean, I don't know. I heard death and I was like, oh, this sounds like a date to me, honey. So I think I would have chose that one too. And I will say, Kira saying she probably should have sent me. So the reason why we didn't rock, paper, scissors was because, which, yikes. But Sam was sitting in between myself and Kira when it was announced that Kira had won. So when I was fixing my shoe, I'm pretty sure that I saw Sam like nudge Kira or tell her, don't rock, paper, scissors, just send yourself, which makes sense because we are in the numbers. We are tied at this point in numbers, and I'm side-eyeing like, okay. All right, Sam. But yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why Kira said that she should have sent me or made that comment. And also, Kira did take a while. Like, I don't know how long it took, but it seemed like she was deciding on something forever. And we're like, okay. But yeah.
So how long did it usually take? Like, what were those gaps in between the altar and then getting back to camp? How long did that usually take?
Oh my gosh. Some were quicker. Like, I don't think, like, people like Jordan, who went to the first one, I don't think he was gone for like maybe 20 minutes ish, I think. Kira seemed like she was gone for like maybe 30 to 45 minutes, if I can remember. Of course, Emily's was the longest, but like, yeah.
So Kira takes it. she has to basically lose the challenge, and she gives a confession right before the commercial break, where it's like, I don't even feel like I have to, like, they could just lose just because, and that would be great. So we get to the immunity challenge. Julie, what'd you think of the challenge?
I love the challenge. I love a good blindfold comp. I especially love the blindfold puzzle as well at the end, the great equalizer. I did not understand the strategy. You guys ended up choosing Jabbar. If you could maybe walk us through the decision-making process there, because it seemed like ultimately that was the reason you fell so behind.
Yeah. I honestly just don't. I don't think it was really resonating with Sam, like what was happening. Like she was only choosing. So like the first few minutes, she was choosing like one person to kind of talk to at a time, while the rest of us was just standing. And I think because I think J Mac went first, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's a point where like I'm hearing Capo has 5, Capo has 6, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna walk. And at this point, Sam is gonna tell me if I'm running into something or not. Um, so yeah, so Sam has lost this challenge, being a caller before, and I think that
It's
she kind of,
hard to do it.
and I think she kind of got in her head about being a caller again. But honestly, she kind of has like the most distinct voice accent, and she's loud, so it does make sense for her to be the caller.
I think both callers made. I think I texted Julie that. I'm like,
The
yo, yeah,
correct voice. They were
Yeah.
correct callers.
Yeah.
I
Having-
want to go ahead.
It's like having done this as a caller, can confirm very difficult. So I don't blame her for being stressed.
That was SBS, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ooh.
I wanted to quickly touch on two things before the challenge. I have this out of order, but two things before the challenge. One is just a funny little note, and two is something more serious. The funny thing is, all season I've been telling Julia off camera, "Oh yeah, Jordan looks like Macaulay Culkin," and I never want to say it on here because it's like, okay, if Jordan has heard that a lot in his
He's
life,
heard.
but it's put in the episode, and Sam, of course, is the one that brings it up. So I just want to put it out and say, hey, I also agree, and you know, I'm glad to be able to actually say that out loud.
Speak your truth, coach.
It means a lot. But the other thing, so there's a point during the episode where actually no, there's two different points during the episode where it's kind of alluded that Lydia might be on the block in the event that they lose. And Lydia has a moment where, I mean, she, in her words, she says it's a panic attack. And based off of her mannerisms, it very much is a panic attack. And I appreciate the fact that, one, that she felt comfortable being vulnerable in that type of situation. But the way that it was shot, the way that it was portrayed to us, it felt like they were giving us everything. It didn't seem like they were cutting around. It felt like, hey, we're just going to put this here, and we're just gonna let the audience see it as it is. What did you think of this? Because Jabbar, you weren't actually there. What did you think about it? Like watching this back.
Honestly, I was very intrigued by it, especially knowing what we know. Ben doesn't have a vote. Lydia has an extra. I was very intrigued, because I just assumed that they were also confident. Even after the duel, Emily and I were standing next to each other, and she said, "We got y'all. You're good." Which, something else I want to bring up later. But I was very intrigued that Lydia had those strong feelings, and I was even intrigued that somebody told her that she was in danger had they lost.
Yeah, Julia.
Absolutely. I think it was a really powerful moment just to show that, you know, these aren't Survivor proper, but the emotions, the highs and the lows that people go through are very real, and these are very intense. Just the way Lydia just experienced that, talked through it with Emily, I thought was really nice. It was a nice moment between the two of them. I don't think we've seen them bond a ton personal level, it was nice to see that. But again, as Jabbar said, it was very interesting to me that people from Old Capel were so direct with Lydia. I guess they were probably feeling the heat as well, knowing Ben had lost his vote again. But I'm intrigued to know the motive behind that.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I backtracked there, but going back to the challenge, now we're back in the challenge. I hate blindfold challenges. As a spectator and as someone that does it, just because I feel like what season was it? I think it was either Second Chances or Kageyan. Gave me so much like secondhand, not embarrassment, secondhand pain just watching. And like, this is not that. Like, y'all aren't running into things like this. But it still just like makes me very uneasy watching y'all like not have control of your bodies and what could potentially happen. I mean, Barton fell and he could see in the challenge beforehand, and now y'all can't. And you know, there are still obstacles in the way, including each other. Jabbar.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into this as well. So when Kira comes back, she blatantly lies to us, and that's why you see people in a confessional when we're voting talking about Kira doesn't have a vote. And it's because when she comes back, she tells us that it's basically an all or nothing for death. Either she's going to get 2 goods or 2 bads. We win immunity and she gets the idol, or we lose immunity and she doesn't have a vote. And so, yes, that I was going to bring that up as well, Lydia. And so we're in a situation where I'm thinking, to be honest, I don't think people from the wiki wanted to win that challenge, based off of what we felt. We're going to get immunity and Kira's going to get an idol. No. And to be honest, I don't think Kira wanted to win either, because she knew the truth.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting is that, yeah, Kira blatantly lied to all of us, quite frankly. And when we lose the challenge, I remember thinking, okay, Emily said that we're good. So we're sitting down and like J-Mac and Lydia goes to J-Mac and basically gives her, she gives her the extra vote. Lydia doesn't know at this point that Jordan has told us that he has an extra vote. Now Lydia has slid J-Mac the other extra vote. And now we're sitting on like 5 votes at this tribal council. We're thinking that Kira doesn't have a vote. And so I'm like, okay.
You're pimped out.
Yeah, I guess I have to stay with these people.
Well, yeah, because you even give a confessional after this where it's like, I in my notes I have Jabbar's done with these folks, which it's not the first time I've said that this season, where it's like, yeah, I feel like you are our proxy most of the time, where it's just like, we'll see you interact, like especially during the whole Tyler Peter thing, just watching you in both confessional and in the moment, it's like, yeah, I feel like that's how most of us would react. Just let these crazy people do this. And yeah, I feel bad, but like also it needs to be out in the open. So, but we get to the strategy talk, and there was a lot more strategy in the second half than there was in the first half of the episode. I think they did a really good job of hiding who that boot was going to be, because I wasn't spoiled by the merge picture, so like I actually had no idea who was going home in this episode. And going into that tribal, I thought that it could be almost anyone. I didn't think it was going to be you, and I didn't think it was going to be Liz, which is ironic because she did catch a vote. For you, at what point did you lock in where you were going to vote, and how much longer after that did you guys have to continue to like BS around?
Are you saying how long did I know that the final decision was going to be Sam?
Yes.
I don't know if I can say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. 60 seconds before tribal. Yeah, it was very up in the air, quite frankly. And so of course, the complexity here is that Sam and I are, that's my gut sis outside of the game. So as we see, J-Mac and Jordan are forming a good relationship with Sam and Liz. Like that's kind of becoming like a potential four. So earlier in the day, Sam had told me that she had came to me with a plan to potentially vote out J-Mac because she noticed J-Mac was like a really big threat. And so you hear my name a lot as somebody who stirred the pot. And I had considered voting J-Mac out only because, as I said in a confessional, I felt like my cage was a little rattled since the Amy vote and how everything happened. So I didn't feel the safest if we went down in numbers on the wiki, but like that was just my paranoia, honestly. And so I had considered potentially flipping, but after what went down at the duel with Sam kind of nudging Kira, and Kira kind of confirmed this afterwards, I was like, oh, there's no reason for me to flip if I'm going to flip to a group of people who's not going to trust me anyway. So
yeah. Okay. And so the rest of the strategy time, what's up? Oh, okay. The rest of the strategy time leading up to that final 60 seconds, I guess. Where were you actually leaning?
I wanted to vote. So preference would have probably been Liz. However, more than I wanted Liz out, I kind of wanted to protect Kira. Personally, something about her, like the fact that she even volunteered to rock, paper, scissors me, and like she was honest that like Sam nudged her not to do it, just made me feel like I could trust her. So,
and Liz got a lot of content during the strategizing part of the episode. I feel like everything was revolving around her.
It felt like it was really her coming out episode.
Damn, Jabbar.
Yeah, this was Miss Liz now.
This was a coming out episode.
Yeah. So the reason why I say that is because like you see Liz, like it was a whole train of mess. So Sam brings up the J-Mac blindside. I bring it up to Liz, and like I can tell Liz is seeming like she doesn't know what I'm talking about, or like she's not interested. And it just does not make me feel good, quite frankly. Okay. So I'm like, okay, there might be a little bit of tension between Liz and I, but I'll watch it. And you can even see her being like, oh, how do you all feel about Jabbar? Like we already lost Josh. Yeah. So I just think Liz and I just weren't on the same.
Okay, and maybe that'll change. But we get to tribal. So before we get to the questions and all of that, in your head, where are all the votes? Because you don't know that Kira actually has a vote. So do you think it's going to be 3-2 or?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Sam brings up, hey, I don't want to do any of this, but these are reasons for people to get rid of me. This is that. And everyone else is kind of, saying pretty much the same thing. Also, I really love the stump that Dan has chosen for this tribal, because it makes him look shorter for some reason. Even though I know he's taller than me, or at least a little bit taller. We get to the vote. At what point during the actual votes being read? So, like, when I guess beating around the bush, when you see the Liz vote, what goes through your head?
I was like, okay, did one of them use the extra vote and didn't tell me? Like I don't know why my brain did not process the fact that Kira probably had a vote, but I didn't think it was her at all, quite frankly, at no point.
Yeah, I just thought that was such an interesting choice from her. I don't question her decision to lie. I feel like her lying about having an idol was probably the best choice, but it's very reminiscent of this season with Justin, Survivor proper with Justin, of the ramifications about lying, about having a vote, not having a vote, come back to bite you.
So if I was a betting person, so Kira was not at the voting booth anytime, and she says that because she's pretending like she has a vote. I think, if I'm not mistaken, her logic for voting for Liz is she has to play up that like this vote isn't coming from her, and why would anybody think that she will vote for somebody from her own starting tribe? So if I had to rationalize Kira's logic, I think I'm leaning towards that.
Towards a red herring that I guess we could still see because of extra votes and all that. I guess we will see next week if Kira tries to play it off, or if it's just going to be like, oh, I did it, and this is how it happened, or if people just clock it, whether she admits it or not, whether people just kind of figure out like, oh man, so you didn't lose your vote. But we lose my winner pick for the season. We lose Sam.
Which means I win.
Sure. And and Dan does have some nice words. It's going to be a lot quieter around here. And Sam takes it like a champ. At least, you know, from what we're shown, and I don't think they would have cut out a whole bunch of stuff from there. What were your thoughts? Like, as you said, your real life friend. Were you afraid of not how she would react, but did you feel like she would feel betrayed by that in real life, or did you know, oh yeah, Sam knows how to take this?
I mean, I knew that she would probably be hurt, especially because I'm glad they didn't show up, but we had a very passionate conversation right before, where I looked her in the eyes and I swore I wasn't going to vote for her.
You're terrible.
So I knew that it was, I knew she was going to feel hurt. But based off of Sam's answers at Tribal, like she was very uneasy, and she talked about how if they didn't vote out Josh, they would have the numbers and so on and so forth. So like on a strategic sense, I could justify it because I'm like, I almost feel like she wants to and wanted to play a Tribal line style game. And that just, you know, I felt like I would have been safe for a little bit with her, but like, you know, I can't predict that. So like, I kind of have to, if she's going to play Tribal lines, I have to like stick with my Tribal lines as well.
Absolutely.
So I kind of rationalized it as like, in my heart, I believe that she'll forgive me for a decision like this.
For a game decision.
Right.
And that's really all it was. You didn't say fuck off and then voted. Like you just voted her out of the game. And like it's all happened. It's happened to all of us. It will probably continue to happen to all of us. But I mean, I'm glad that you were able to put that real life thing aside and just be like, nope, she's got to go. Julia, final words on Sam before we move on to the final segment of this.
We lost a good one. We lost some good TV. She would have been an absolute force at the merge. But I think, although unfortunate, her going really busts the game wide open. We're 6-6 now, heading into the merge. Advantages galore, but I'm really excited. I just want to say her final words just made me giggle in her last sentence of, maybe there's a girl running around in upstate New York right now being a little bit more bold. Hello, everyone. That girl is me.
Is that you?
Me. Thank you.
She looked right at the camera and was like, Julia Rowe. I'm gonna have to pick a new winner. I'd probably just pick Jabbar. It's fine. But
I like it. No notes.
But we do have the merge coming up next week. There are a lot of storylines going into the merge, on top of the numbers being what they are. People with extra votes, some people without votes. One idol, right? One idol.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see how everything unfolds. I think the merge is always supposed to be the chaos. And are they going to do like an actual merge first? Are they going to do some type of twist where it's not actually mergatory? Are they going to do a jury starts here? I know you can't like speak past this episode, but did you think merge next?
I want to say yes. And the only reason why is because I did a little bit of research before coming out there, and I think, and I'm, excuse me, this was the setup of Gettysburg. Like I binged Gettysburg and listened to like all of Eric's postseason podcasts or whatever afterwards, Eric and Sam. And so, swap at 14, merge at 12. Like I was like, okay, it's probably following the same formula.
Okay.
I do have one last question for you, Jabbar. Obviously, we've seen on Survivor Pennsylvania Facebook, if you're not on there, like, subscribe, whatever, that you guys had a fully catered merch feast. How was that merch feast, Jabbar? It looked great.
Now, why would they put Chipotle in front of me? Knowing that's my damn. Oh, I love Chipotle. It was amazing. Quite frankly, top tier. Recommend Chipotle. Recommend a feast. Thank you so much.
Not
Survivor
sponsored,
PA.
by the way.
Not sponsored. Right. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Sam.
For now.
Yeah. I do have a question.
Nothing.
I do have a question for y'all though, because y'all been out here talking a lot of smack now about.
Oh, have we?
So we're going into the merge. It's 6-6, and it looks like, from what we can see based off of actions, that tribe loyalty is going to reign supreme. So who y'all supporting, Lewicki or Capo? We all want to know.
I think I've made my loyalties very clear.
That is true.
When episode 4 rolls around, and I said, man, I kind of miss my Lewicki tribe. Where are they? But I can't speak for Coach.
I mean, we've been on the same. We've been rooting for the underdogs all season. Like, we started getting tired of y'all losing. Y'all, you already know. I mean, Sam was my winner pick, but like,
I was sick,
yeah.
I was sick of you guys on my screen, and then the second you left, I wanted you back.
Now, don't be changing your minds when a Capo member come next week. Because I'm gonna be.
No, don't worry. Like, I'll tell them.
I stand on business. Don't worry.
I'm not changing that. But Jabbar, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here. It's been, like I said, you've, at least for me, you've been my proxy watching. It's like, yep, I'm watching everything from his eyes, because it always feels like
the voice of the people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited to see how much farther you make it, or even if you make it to the end. I'm rooting for you. I'm fairly certain Julia's rooting for you. Any final words, any final tea, anything that you want to say that you can actually say, living in our 5-episode bubble that we have here?
No, y'all got enough tea for the night. But I will say thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much, Pennsylvania Production. And this cast, bomb, bangers, everybody was stars. And I love each and every single one of them. I'm lying. No, I'm joking. But yeah, I love them.
I don't know if he's joking. I don't know. When you met the face when I brought up Liz, I'm like, damn, all right. Maybe is that a source up? But yes, thank you everyone for continuing to tune in. Thank you to everyone in the chat, both players, family members, everything in between. Thank you, Dan, for letting us continue to do this. We're looking forward to a great merge episode Sunday. Yeah, yes. Sunday. Saturday or Sunday. Make sure to subscribe. Okay. Make sure to subscribe to Live Reality Games. Make sure to subscribe to Survivor PA. And yeah, we'll be back next week
with another special guest.
With another special guest. Next week, we're being joined by Dan to go over everything merge-wise. We get some, and I'm hoping that we're getting more inside scoops, more tea on everything going on behind the scenes. Yeah, but we'll be back next week. Take care.